She's a close friend, Kim. We are sharing about church things. We are reading Bible together.
Skhumbuzo's grandmother took Skhumbuzo and his older sister in after their mother passed on when Skhumbuzo was only 3 years old. The Sbiya family continued to be a solid source of support to the old lady with a great responsibility.
Understood as from 7 years. Skhumbuzo naqala ukusafara ngaye. Umama wakhe washona ana 3 years. 1990. So ubaba wakhe since then zange siphinde simbone. Khuliswa ubani yini.
Despite her best efforts to provide her grandson with the love and care he needed, it proved to be quite difficult to achieve this as Skhumbuzo looked for that which was lacking in his life from his friends who lured him into a life of substance abuse. Skhumbuzo became a stranger to those around him.
Angafuni kuzwa nje next while abhemele izinto zabo lezi. Oh Jesus Christ, ngoba beyibhema nasesikolweni. Yabona esikolweni bengibizwa twice or thrice a week.
One afternoon, Kanyisile was walking from the local shops when she met Skhumbuzo, who turned against her when she refused to give him money to buy drugs. At the time, Skhumbuzo was hooked on cocaine and mandrax. He was desperate for his next fix that he took out a knife and attempted to kill her.
He was different because he didn't even recognize me. So I was thinking, okay, this guy's gonna hurt me. Is this guy gonna... I don't know what he's gonna do to me. At the time and at the time and points, I'm thinking, I want my mommy. I'm just a small baby. I'm thinking, my mommy. Am I gonna see my mommy again? Yeah, but I was really scared. I'd cry and think it's okay. But this person, I took him as my brother. But why would he do this to me?
Kanyisile pleaded for her life and surrendered all that she had to him.
Ukhayinsile uye waphuma la afuna ikota, and then ngamnikeza 100 rand waphuma, and then waphuma kule ndlela le engase cemetery wayothenga ikota, wathenga wabuya kunenye indawo ethengisa ikota bathi kusekitchen, wathenga uthi mayebuya lapho ekitchen on her way eza aphethe ikota leyo wadibana noSkhumbuzo. uSkhumbuzo wamkhiphela umese and then wamthathela ifone, wamthathela nale change bekayothenga ngayo ikota.
Skhumbuzo had turned against all those who were close to him and would often threaten to harm them if they did not give him the money to feed his habit.
Ngilapha kulela room lapha phandle ngibhizi ngifonela amaphoyisa khona umfana belawa mfowethu. Kube uyozayo zombuza anti uSkhumbuzo ulayidile endlini. Mfethu ayilayida lendlu because of that 100 rand. Istove sase kitchen akusesiyiso lesi. This is the new one. Ngangine Kelvinator white donsa like ngoba mina ebondeni mangiceda ukupheka ngiswitcha off. Wayishaya phansi amaphoyisa ayithola lapha eminyango ilele ngobuso. Nimshini okwasha ndasibona isidikiselo sakhona sisaphuka then ajikjela ngaso abantu athi wayibambeka.
Skhumbuzo's grandmother hoped that Skhumbuzo would get better with time, but things got worse over time.
Bakhelona behlupha nje abehlupha cishe kwaba kubi kasbiya mme amen because of Skhumbuzo.
Kanyisile's uncle convinced the families to turn Skhumbuzo into the cops. At first, Kanyisile was reluctant to give a statement to the cops, but the family emphasized the importance of having him locked up so that he doesn't hurt other people in the neighborhood.
Gogo phoned malume hey na inking nangumntana ufika na inkinga sekarobiwe. And then my uncle ngoba he's short tempered, he rushed here. We had to go to the police station. And then when we got to the police station they asked details like uyamazi umbonile. Yeah, umbonile, I know where he lives.
Shortly after Kanyisile reported him to the police, Skhumbuzo was arrested in a bloody scene at school where he had vandalized the school property. His grandmother was desperate for him to get help. She knew that it was only a matter of time before he hurt himself and those around him.
Police esikolweni. It was a heritage day. Walwa nama teachers, na governing body, bamvalele office. Nabamvalele office lapha uSikhumbuzo bayofuna uprincipal. Sikhumbuzo waphula yonke into esikolweni. Yonke into kule office. Bathumela umistress azongilanda la ngemoto. I have to go there. Nangifika lapha okay kunama van ayi2 amaphoyisa esikolweni. Sikhumbuzo ugcwele igazi. Lapha phansi ugoqa izandla njengemfene. Nabangikhombisa le office aliphulile incwadi zonke. Itafula lesikolo liphukile, umnyango wale office uphansi.
Bophelong returns right after your break.
Do not miss the sentencing of Oscar Pistorius. He has been found not guilty of murder, but guilty of culpable homicide. Already, South Africans have voiced their opinions on the expected sentence. All eyes are on Judge Masipa as she passes sentence on Monday the 13th from 9:30 a.m.
What is wrong with African players? Why are they not winning?
Our officials, they don't look at the bigger picture of players being happy before they go to the pitch, because mind game is very important.
Seek ye first the goals and playing the tactical strategy on the field of play, and all other things shall be added unto you. Don't put money before.
African coaches, did they do well?
I think so far they are doing well.
I do not agree. Sometimes local is lekker is dangerous, because I'm telling you, he who cut the road does not know that his back is zigzag.
Ghana proved to be a damp squib.
You cannot go to war with chickens. You go to war with your best commanders.
What will it take for Africa to make it at international level?
Bring professional coaches from anywhere, whether from Mars, Moon, Jupiter, to come and coach and get us the results. That's what we want. You can't be a coach simply because you play football. And do you have to be a drunkard in order to own a bottle store? No.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back to Bophelong, a place of hope, with me, Pule Mulebatsi. Before the break, we began to get to know the story of Khanyisile. Let's continue with the story and hear how she forgave the man that caused her family tremendous pain. Take a look.
Sikhumbuzo, once a close family friend to Khanyisile, attempted to kill her in a robbery. After serving time in prison, Sikhumbuzo has now turned over a new leaf and is seeking forgiveness from those he has wronged. Khanyisile, a victim of the crime he once committed, has forgiven him. Together they're working towards healing, but the road to recovery is one of many painful memories.
They called us, okay, the court case needs to attend. Alright, that's when we went. I think we attended like twice or 3 times, because everyone was coming. Ifemed was coming to our Gutsis, I was like, okay, now I'm starting to get scared. And this court thing is getting me really scared.
Sikhumbuzo's family requested that the Sibiya's family drop the charges, as they believe that Sikhumbuzo had learned his lesson and would be better off at home with them than in a prison cell.
Ma ukuthi sikhulumisane but sathola ukuthi uyabaleka uSikhumbuzo, only to find that umalume kaKhanyisile waba ne-anger, so wathatha uKhanyisile samfonela umalume wakhe bekasebenza eJoburg, wabuya wathatha uKhanyisile bayovula icase for uSikhumbuzo.
The two families were on two opposing sides, as the Sibiyas wanted Sikhumbuzo to be accountable for what he had done to their daughter. This created a conflict between them.
You do the Komotapi for like 6 months without anyone coming to see you, and it's hard, Kada, because if you don't have visits, you end up there's gangsterism in prison, there's sodomy, people get raped, people get killed. Just because utsubile kwaya muthomungo or unkile dijo tsa muthomungo. So that's what situation nekilling huyon is what changed me, because there was nobody there for me, no sakri pesuk or anything. So that's what was an eye opener for me.
While the families were dealing with the hurt, Sikhumbuzo had tried to reach out to his family to apologize for the pain he has caused them, with the hope that they will pass on his apology to Khanyisile's family.
I didn't think they'd forgive me. I truly didn't think they'd forgive me. That's why I even had to ask for external people to come and mediate the forgiveness. And case, they refused. And she hung up. Like when I called her when I was in prison, she hung up.
After his release from prison, Sikhumbuzo's mission was to unite his family. He knew the first person to seek forgiveness was his grandmother.
Wabuya wazocela uxolo. Amen. Bathi gogo yazi ngitshentshile, angisadla ama-drugs ini. But uthe makalo kathi gogo ngicela uxolo. Ngicela ungixolele. That was a question mark enhlizweni yami, ukuthi iluphi loxolo ofuze ngilenze masithi baba sixolele njengoba nathi sibathethelela abanamacala kithi. Which one? I've asked myself. Amen. That is why uSikhumbuzo ala ngathi ngiyaxolela. But if at all usadla ama-drugs, gate.
Sikhumbuzo's biggest task would be to approach the Sibiya family. Khanyisile was prepared to give him an opportunity to prove to her that he had changed.
He asked me, and in order for us to like fix this thing, let's please go to steroids. I was like, oh, okay. And he asked me, I was like, yeah, at that time not even sure but yeah, I am sure Sikhumbuzo has changed.
The story of Sikhumbuzo and Khanyisile has grown to be an inspiration to others that have been victimized. Their happy ending has shown that forgiveness is a choice that can heal any scars. Expressing their painful experiences through the music they write together, the two have brought back more than just their families into reconciliation.
I started dancing ko ITA, ko Chiva, ko TV, ko live, and I started thinking, now people are giving me props for the right thing. I'm just grateful for it. They found it in their hearts to forgive me fully. Because people might say, okay, it's over, yeah, sorry, sharp, and then call on someone to come shoot you or do something or beat you up or something. So I'm only glad for it, but I'm sure that they're forgiving me.
It's hard to be a strong woman. This world is cold.
The two families continue to work towards a peaceful relationship and hopefully inspire the nation to empower young ex-offenders who have gone through similar situation. After their break, we talked to Lebogang Lesitedi of NICRO about reintegrating ex-offenders. Stay right here.
into Africa. This is Nigeria. The president is Mr. Goodluck Jonathan. Nigeria attained independence in 1960. The population is more than 166 million people. One of the major languages spoken is English. Monetary unit is Nigerian Naira.
This former breadbasket of Africa, playing host to SADC leaders.
I feel humbled and yet greatly honored at being appointed the chairman of SADC.
When I was a student, Harvard was only my visible college, my formal classes. But I was also a student in an invisible college.
The outbreak in West Africa is the world's deadliest to date. It's centered on Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, with cases also reported in Nigeria.
Catch news at 8, 7 days a week. Be informed. The Mantanga Cultural Village is a large family homestead with 16 huts, each of them with its own specific purpose.
My responsibility, it is taking care of the family. As far as cleanliness is concerned, I have to make sure that I keep the home as clean as possible every morning when I wake up.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back to Bophelong with me, Bophelong Molebatsi. Earlier on, we saw the story of Skhumbuzo and Khanyisile who managed to reach a common ground. And Skhumbuzo is an ex-offender who is back into the community and is seeking for forgiveness from Khanyisile, who has forgiven him. And now to talk about reintegrating ex-offenders is Ntate Lebogang Lisitedi from NICRO. Ntate, welcome to Bophelong.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You wanted a piece of paper, so you wanted to look at the questions. But it's cool. Okay, so let's start off by looking at how important is it that we do the integration process of ex-offenders into our community? How important is that?
It is very, very important because sometimes you'd find that when an offender is coming out of prison, the question is, where do you even start? You know, where do you even go? And at the same time, again, the family is also, caught between a rock and a hard place, because here comes somebody who's been in prison. How do we welcome him? How is society going to embrace us when we welcome this person? So it is very, very important for us to walk with the ex-offender into the community and make sure that his feet are solidly grounded on the system that he's getting into. But I also just want to highlight the fact that when we talk about offender reintegration, it's not only those who are coming from prison, but sometimes it's those who've been referred to maybe NICRO through the diversion program, and they also need specific kind of reintegration into that community where maybe that crime was committed,
And you are you're a social worker at NICRO.
Yes.
What does the work that NICRO do?
Well, NICRO believes that behavior is caused by something.
Yeah.
So what we do is we take a person who committed a particular crime, and then we look at his psychosocial understanding and functioning. And at that level, we start talking to that person to try and rehabilitate him into more acceptable behavior of how to engage with communities and other people. But again, we also help the offender to try and understand and develop some different perspective that will help them to function better away from criminal behavior. So we offer programs that are tailor-made and are specific to our clients, So if it's maybe young offenders, we've got programs for those. If it's maybe intimate partners, issues of domestic violence, we've got programs for those. If it's just adults who maybe are also committing specific crimes, we've got programs for those. We also have programs for those who are committing crimes on our roads, you know, like negligent driving and reckless driving and the likes.
And how important is it that within our restorative justice we encourage the victims to also, I think it's a very sensitive issue in terms of forgiveness, because every experience is very personal.
Yes.
And it really just depends on an individual. But how important is it that we encourage the especially the victims to take back even if let's say it was in the case of Skhumbuzo and Khanyisile, they're very close. The two families are very close and they grew up together. And in an instance where Skhumbuzo has wronged the family and went to prison and now wants to come back, but for him to be able to live his life fully is if he can get forgiveness from the other party. So how important that we encourage this type of setting?
It's nice because we were just talking about this particular clip that we were showing now. These are people who are living in the same community. These are people who are related per se. So it is very, very important that we engage them in what we call a victim offender conferencing or family group conferencing, because in that way both of them, especially the victim, has this element of closure and she is able to start moving on with his life. We're not only talking about element of forgiveness, we're also talking about element of healing. These are two different dynamics. So we need to heal first and then we can move to forgiveness. But also the offender himself, the question is, how do I even start engaging this family? Do I even start at sorry? Do I pretend nothing happened? How are they going to engage me when I approach them to say sorry? Are they going to reject me? You know, that kind of ambiguity. Question is, where do you even go? You know? So it is very, very paramount that we involve the victim in an element of healing, and we also involve the offender so that he'll be able to move on with his life. But the other thing that I cannot overemphasize enough is that offenders need to understand the impact of their crime on the victim herself or the victim himself. So having that element of victim impact is very, very good, because the offender starts to understand the severity of the pain that he has caused on this person. You know, so
I agree with you there.
Things like that really are important.
And then with the victim, how do you work with the victims? Because I hear you work a lot with ex-offenders.
Yes.
Do you have space for the victims that needs guidance through this?
We do have a lot of space for victims. Mind you, as I said, when it comes to intimate partners or family related matters or close community members, it is very important that we work with victims. It's quite challenging if the victim maybe is living in a different community or she does not connect with the offender. But question is, how important is it for the offender, and what is the process that we take? The process of healing is very long.
Indeed.
Because the victim starts off with issues of questioning, why me, why us, where was God in all this thing, what did I do to deserve all these things? You know, sometimes again as human beings we are taught just to bottle in things and suppress things, pretend that it has never happened. So with pain that is suppressed, it never goes, and it's got a tendency of coming out in different ways. She'll be very angry at men in general just because of the pain that she has. So our programs make sure that she's able to come out with that pain. She's able to vent, cry if she needs to cry, and you know, just bring out all those emotions. And then from there she needs to detach herself from the offender himself. So this element of boosting esteem, developing yourself, finding that the fact that you are not a victim, you are a survivor, you can move on. You know, once that separation has been done, then we can start questioning the issue of, do we forgive? And then it is only there that we start, you know, exploring issues of victim offender conferencing. But I need to also overemphasize that an earlier VOC makes the process faster. Because all those questions that you've been asking yourself, you answer them in the presence of the offender. But in the absence of the offender, we keep on moving forward and backwards, because we don't have clarity in those questions that the victim is asking.
And you know, when you look at Skhumbuzo particularly, he's still very young, and he's now back and he's trying to have a normal life per se. So there's also issues of where do I start looking for employment? What type of a young man am I going to be now that I've served time in prison? Do you walk him through this journey, or do you have sessions where you just put them into the community and you encourage them to go back to the victim and, you know, seek forgiveness and go into the community and try start a life in a way. But do you walk the ex-offenders through the process of trying to find a job, trying to stay clean if they were on drugs, or to be away from crime? Do you walk them through it until,
We do. We walk with them until the point where we feel they're independent enough, and the point where they also feel they're independent enough. We also help them compile CVs. We also help them to find jobs, because sometimes you come out of prison and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to look for a job in this particular company or organization. We help them to understand the limitations. We help them to understand that, okay, you've got better chances on this area than this area. We help them compiling CVs and interviews and the likes. But we also help them when it comes to issues at home, because mind you, you are finding children at home, they don't know how to engage this daddy who's coming and he's been in prison. He's a teenager, he's very angry, or maybe the child that you have is very young and does not understand. They said, daddy is in prison, how do I even start talking? So we help that mediation, that dialogue between children and this offender who's coming in, parents and the offender that is coming in. We also try by all means to engage communities to understand that this person is not an outcast just because he did this. He has been rehabilitated. We have walked with him. Let's give him a second chance. We at NICRO are all about second chances.
Thank you so much, Ntate. And how can people get hold of NICRO?
We're basically our website, www.nicro.co.za.
Do you have a toll-free line as well?
We do not have a toll-free line, but we can find the contact number on the website.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page, which is NICRO2. So I think people can just engage with us on those platforms.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, thank you to you at home for watching. And remember, you can catch us again, same time, same place on SABC News. As for me and the rest of the crew, it's a goodbye.